Hello and welcome again to Empower Me First Ministries. For the past few weeks, I have been working on the project Empower Me First College. It's a charity foundation with its sole aim to bring education to millions who are unable to further their education. Please visit our website empowermefirst.college for more information and how you can become a volunteer and help us reach many children. I'm back and I'm starting a new series, breaking down the barriers of racism. So join me every weekend for more information or more information or word of empowerment. The Bible gives us a lot of theological stories and histories. Scripture is full of books which tells us our story from God's perspective. What has happened in the past, who we really are, why our world is as it is, and what to do about it. Perhaps the richest attempt to do this is found in 1st and 2nd Kings. The account of how Israel went from prosperity under the United Monarchy to the disaster of idolatry, division, and finally exile. It is a story that, beyond the gripping tales of the prophet Elijah and Elisha, it is a story that many Christians do not know very well or preach from very often. It is a story full of pointed warnings, dramatic victories, and gospel hope. If we read it carefully, it gives us more than a narrative of what happened to Israel. It gives us a way of thinking about what has happened and what is happening now and what will happen to us human beings if we do nothing collectively. Our entire survival is rooted in our DNA. We are all from the same root, as we would say, cut from the same cloth. The resolution adopted by the General Assembly of the United Nations November 20th, 1963, Article 1 says, and I quote, "Discrimination between human beings on the ground of race, color, or ethnic origin is an offense to human dignity and shall be condemned as a denial of the principles of the Charter of the United Nations, as a violation of the human rights and the fundamental freedom proclaimed in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as an obstacle to friendly and peaceful relationship among nations, and as a fact capable of disturbing peace and security among people." End of quote. We need to make sense of our own era. The last 500 years have been a dramatic transformations in the Western world, and the pace of change does not appear to be slowing. We need to understand our times. We need a prophetic account of our story in which God's perspective on human history shapes ours. We are a people bounded together by a common DNA since the creation of the first man and woman. The purpose of Empower Me First Ministry video is to understand the importance of every person who is created in the image of God. And in order to do this, both the form and the function of the image of God in the human being will be considered. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27 will be the primary text, but we will always be looked and understood in the context of Genesis chapter 1 to 3, as well as the references to the image and the likeness of God in Genesis chapter 5, 1 to 3, and Genesis chapter 9, verse 6. According to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, "Then God said, let us make human being in our image, to be like us. They will reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the livestock, all the wild animals on the earth, and the small animals that scurry along the ground. First, every human being is created in the image of God. Now, what does that mean? The answer lies in the beginning. Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. Now, when you read that verse in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, the only thing man was told to rule are the birds of the air, all animals and all living creature that creep on the earth. He never said one human should dominate or rule over another human. The Bible said, then God said, let us make human in our image to be like us. They will reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, and all livestock, all the wild animals on the earth, and the small animals that creep along the grounds. In other words, man was created to bear the image of God, to reflect who he is. So what does it mean when the scripture says that we are created in the image? This is very important. This is a very important question, because it really answers the question, who am I? Which is huge, of course. And if we are not asking that question, then we need to be, and this is the best answer to that question, who we are. We are created in the image of God. Join me next week as we continue to break down the barrier of racism. Also, for those of you who have not yet purchased a copy of my book, it's The Evidence That Demands Your Verdict by Dr. Anthony Powell. Please go to Amazon and get a copy. Do you know you can also get a copy in German? Yes, you can. Thank you, and see you next weekend. God bless you.